Welcome to Force Talk, the Star Wars show talking anything Star Wars. May the Force be with you, my Padawan learners. That was Star Wars. Wow, what a fantastic season finale for Rebels Season 2. I'll be honest, I wasn't quite sure it was going to live up to the hype, but it actually completely surpassed my expectations. Every single moment in this episode was extremely engaging to watch and very intense, and that is not something you can say for every episode of Rebels. Let's start with Darth Maul. Or should I say, Maul. He was amazing. I think this is the single best version of Maul we've ever seen. Sam Witwer gave such a good performance with such range to the character that we've never really seen before. I knew, like I'm sure most of you did, that the frail appearance of Maul was just a ruse to get Ezra on his side. He's fueled by the dark side. There's no way he's actually a frail old man. The dark side gives him his strength and makes him powerful. And there was no way he was going to lose that, but it was still really entertaining to watch. Watching him manipulate Ezra was awesome. And it really works because Ezra really just went to the temple for one reason, to gain knowledge. And he's in a Sith temple. So when Maul is encouraging him to use the anger, channel his strength, his power, it makes sense because Ezra's not doing it just because. He's not just blindly listening to this guy. He knows he has to do this in order to obtain the secret knowledge he desires. I love the subtle shots of Maul just loving watching his plan working perfectly. He knows exactly what he's doing. Pretend to be Ezra's friend, gain his trust, and let him taste the dark side for himself. Let him feel that power. Because let's be honest, if you felt power you've never felt before, that's hard to resist. It feels good. And when he says channel your anger, that's not like it's going to feel like the dark side right away. That's just the path to the dark side. A lot of Maul's lines of dialogue were actually taken straight from the Sith Code, which was really cool for me because I really love the Old Republic. The Darth Bane books are fantastic. And I just like that they're starting to acknowledge the Old Republic as canon. I also really liked how the Inquisitors weren't really a threat to Maul at all. They're just kind of like annoying mosquitoes that buzz around his business every once in a while. But at the same time, when he does fight them, he's excited. He enjoys the challenge. It's just fun to him because he knows they're no real threat, but they're still decent practice. Speaking of the Inquisitors, I was really surprised that all of them died. Even the new Mary Poppins Inquisitor we met died. Seriously, if I had one complaint about this episode, it's how the Inquisitors kept flying around like helicopters all over the place. Especially that new Inquisitor we met. Any situation he was in, he would just fly away. It was just really goofy. The only silver lining was that Inquisitor died from trying to fly away. But please, Lucasfilm, let's never do that again. Now let's get to the main event everyone is talking about. Vader vs. Ahsoka. What a great battle. I loved everything about it. The fight choreography was amazing. Vader was strong and brutal, but he was also really swift and quick. I loved the dialogue between him and Ahsoka. It was short, sweet, and straight to the point. It hit those emotional beats without being too long. They could have drawn that scene out to be 5 minutes of a lot of dialogue, but let's face it, Vader would not talk that long. I particularly love the line by Ahsoka, "I'm no Jedi," because she's not. She has just as much anger built up at the Jedi Order as Anakin does. She just took a very different path. I really liked how Vader had a small hint of vulnerability to him. I believe the reason Ahsoka was able to land that shot on his helmet was because he was distracted. He didn't want Kanan and Ezra to escape, he wanted to retrieve the holocron, and he was fighting Ahsoka. But we know Vader's more than capable of handling all those things, but because of his strong connection with Ahsoka, he was distracted. When he calls out Ahsoka's name with half his helmet missing, I believe that was truly Anakin Skywalker, but Vader quickly took over. We know that there's still that touch of good in him, and I think that 0.1% of Anakin was truly calling out to Ahsoka because he cares about her. But Vader has completely consumed Anakin, and he took over. That was one of the most powerful images I've seen in Star Wars in a long time. The half Anakin, half Vader was really scary, but also really sad. If there was one thing I was really hoping to see not happen, that was going to be Ahsoka dying, just because I haven't felt like she's been a relevant enough character this season. There wouldn't have been that emotional impact if she was to die, so I was really relieved to see that they did not kill her yet. I was really surprised and confused when I saw so many people saying, "That was so emotional, I can't believe Ahsoka died." She's not dead. If you watch carefully, right after they show Vader limping away from the battle, they show a little bird, and then you can clearly see Ahsoka walking deeper into the temple. Now, how that happened, I don't know. Did Vader let her go? Doubtful. Did she run away? Did Vader think he killed her and she somehow escaped? I don't know, but I thought they made it pretty clear that she's not dead. I've got to be honest, I was not a fan of this ambiguous ending. I think it's really cheap. You don't show us half of an awesome fight and not show us how it ends. It just seems like a really cheap way to get us excited for Season 3. It would be different if they were going to answer this question in the first episode of Season 3, but I have a strong feeling they're going to keep this as a mystery, a lingering question throughout the whole season to keep you invested, and that's just cheap to me. We should be excited for Season 3 because you had a full, complete, amazing episode, not because you threw all these questions to be answered later. Having said all that, it was still an amazing episode. I'm really excited for Season 3, so let's predict what's to come. I knew Kanan wasn't going to die, but I was actually really surprised that they made him blind. Now, whether he stays blind, I think he'll at least be blind in one eye, which is still a bold choice, and I think that's going to directly tie into future plotlines. Ezra's got a taste of the dark side. He's felt the power that he possesses inside himself, and you see at the end of the episode, he opens that Sith holocron, and Maul specifically told him to open a Sith holocron, you have to be a Sith, or at least think like one. I predicted in my predictions video that Ezra was going to feel really helpless not being able to help Ahsoka, and that turned out to be true. I think he already feels helpless that he couldn't help his parents, and now seeing what happened to Ahsoka, and knowing that he has this power that he's not using, I think he's really going to start to delve into some dark stuff. While I do think initially in Season 3, Ezra's going to feel really guilty for what happened to Kanan, I think he's also going to tell him, look, I felt this power in the temple. I have these abilities. Why are you holding me back? I wasn't using the dark side. I was just using my emotions. And Kanan will warn him, look, Ezra, this is the beginning of the dark side. But I think they're going to start to really clash. Especially as Ezra opens this Sith holocron, it's going to give him a lot more power and a lot more knowledge. And he's going to feel really frustrated with Kanan, like he's inadequate. He can't help him anymore. It really feels like Ezra's learned everything he can from Kanan. If they're not on the same level, they're pretty darn close, which is why I think their days as Master and Apprentice are about to come to an end. Maul knows that he planted that seed of the dark side in Ezra's head, and I think he really wants his holocron back too, which is why it's inevitable that they're going to run into each other at some point in Season 3, and I wouldn't be surprised if Ezra goes with Maul. Not because he wants to join the dark side or become evil, but I think he's naive enough to think that I can learn from this guy and not become a Sith. I can just learn more power because I'm not learning anything with Kanan. As for Ahsoka, I have no idea where her character is going to go. It seems like she's alive, but it wasn't 100% confirmed by any means. But she does seem dead to the crew of the Ghost and to Rex, and I think she'll stay dead in their minds. And what I mean by that is I don't think she's coming back to the crew of the Ghost anytime soon. I think now that she knows 100%, she's seen it with her own eyes, that Anakin Skywalker and Darth Vader are one of the same, she's going to be desperate to find answers, trying to find a way to save him. Just throwing this idea out there. But what if Ahsoka's arc in Rebels is to be the anti-Luke? And what I mean by that is, what if she's brought before the Emperor by Vader, and he kills her in front of the Emperor to prove his prowess, to prove his loyalty? And that would really mirror Return of the Jedi, because Vader would think, I'm not going to let this happen again. Not to my son. I can't do this again. We haven't seen the Emperor yet in Rebels, but I guarantee you he's showing up at some point, and that would be a really powerful, gut-wrenching way for Ahsoka to go. She believes that she can turn Anakin back, but she's proven wrong with her life, and that really sets the big, terrible Vader we know from the original trilogy in motion. Overall, I was blown away by this episode. The Mary Poppins Inquisitors aside, I thought it was a fantastic episode from start to finish. I love the Old Republic tie-in. I hope that's the first of more to come. It was action-packed, emotional, scary, and most of all, just very intense and engaging all the way through. I have to say, as a season overall, I found Season 2 a little bit disappointing. I think they knew where they wanted the season to end, but there wasn't a very good overarching story to get there. there was a little too much filler and not enough substance. But this final episode made me so excited for Season 3 when I otherwise would have just been neutral about it. But what did you guys think? Did you guys like the season finale? What am I talking about? Of course you like the season finale. Any Star Wars fan would have loved that episode. But what did you think about the season overall? And what are some of your predictions for Season 3? I'd love to hear some really interesting theories. I think there's a lot of different ways the show could go. What a special treat that episode was leading up to the Blu-ray release of The Force Awakens. Anyways guys, if you like this video, click like. Thanks for watching this episode of Force Talk, and until next time, see you later.